Hi everybody. It is a fabulous Friday. I can't even talk anymore. Can I just tell you guys? Hi Laura, good to see you. I have just finished parent conferences, which I started at 12:30 today, and what is it here? It's 4:45. I've talked more than my mouth. I don't know if my mouth can move anymore, but we're gonna give this a whirl. And my last conference started at 3:20 and ended at 4:30. Yes, on a Friday, Laura. Yes. And so your little rocket is like, I'm not rocketing right now. I have probably used every last little bit of energy that I have. But I had to join you guys here on a Friday. I mean, no, I love you guys, but I hope that doesn't sound sad and pathetic. Oh, I'm so glad. I was really, really nervous about doing that. I thought, oh my gosh, it's probably going to be an absolute disaster, because yesterday I was wishing you guys could have been with me yesterday, because everything just was so smooth. And I thought, this is not how it's going to end up being tomorrow, because it's going to be crazy. And then of course I thought in my mind, like I said, I have a very special needs student who is on the spectrum, and bless his heart. Oh, Laura, thank you. And I thought, I really probably should not have him be in here for this, because he's going to be crazy. And sometimes he's, flopping legs around. People are losing an eye here and there. And I thought, that's probably exactly what you guys would like to see, because I don't want you to think that I have these extraordinary students who are not what you guys have in your classroom. It's pretty regular here. Oh, good. I'm glad. So I kind of just wanted to go over, and I'm sorry, I'm rambling. If you guys just join me, I'm limping into this weekend. I am literally, I can't talk. I'm so tired, but I've just been talking and back-to-back parent conferences, like I said, since 12:30 today, and ended at 4:30. So anyway, so the last person I want to hear from is myself. I wish I could hear you guys talking. I have two. And you know what, the thing with these special friends, you have to accommodate and change and just adapt for their needs. And I have a toolbox of different things I use, and we just never know which is going to work with each. They're all so different. Bless his heart, he just doesn't have the wherewithal with the body space issue. And so arms are flying at times, legs are flying. One morning he came in. Oh, thank you. I will try to keep them coming. I will try. This morning I was like, let me pack in as much as I can, because I don't know if I'll be able to do this again. I don't have parent volunteers, and I do have one intern, but we are really, hi coach, we are really instructed to make sure that our interns are working one-on-one with kids, not videotaping my class. So anyway, I kind of went out of the box with that. Hi, Renetta. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So anyway, I'm Andrea Schindler with Whole Brain Teaching, and I was challenged to show, thank you, to show a little bit about our huddle up this morning. People were curious and said, put it on Scope. They said, make a video first. I thought, oh, okay, sure, a piece of cake. Then they said, put it on Scope, and I bit the bullet and said, all right, let's do it, because then you guys can see it in real time and see what really goes on in the classroom, because it can be crazy. So give me some hearts out there. If any of you are so ready for the weekend, I'm so ready for the weekend. So I know I don't want to keep you guys here longer than you have to be, but I did want to, I love WBT too, and as you start peeling apart the layers, my friend, you are going to find there's even more than what you see. I mean, it just keeps unpacking, but it's all great. So I started to say earlier, as I was getting ready and waiting for this intern to come in to do the video, I get really wound up with these ideas sometimes, and I thought, I just want them to be able to see everything that we do throughout the day. And I was probably very lucky that they were able to go through all of those pieces, because we don't do all of that at once in the morning. And so, but I wanted to maximize the amount of time that I had with you guys. So we really did a lot this morning. So for those of you who were able to see the huddle up this morning that we did, it was there was a lot going on there. So I'm going to kind of show you how I break down my day. Again, it's your classroom, but I figured I'd show you what I do to break those pieces apart and how I put them throughout the day. And then if you have any questions, I'll answer questions, but then I'm going to get out of here and go home for the weekend. So I'm actually going to show you right now what the breakdown is, and then we'll go from there. And if you guys have questions, let me know. Again, I can't remember if I said my name. I'm so sorry, but I'm Andrea Schindler with Whole Brain Teaching, Whole Brain Teachers United, and we're just a group of teachers, many of us out there, so power to the teachers that are all working together using these strategies to help our students learn and to make teaching fun and to make learning fun, and we're all in this together, and I love that you guys have joined me on this journey. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I kind of broke down what I do to show you over here. So this is a little bit of how I break it down. And we've got a glare there, so I'm going to stand up. So I'll start here with the first thing I do. At the beginning of the day, I count my points, I write the total, and we review the rules. I should tell you is that I actually have a staggered schedule, and so not all of my students are here with me first thing in the morning. Now, right now, everybody's here together because we're in parent-teacher conferences, and so my late birds and my early birds are all here together. But in the morning, I have half the class, and then we start at 8:50. The rest of the students don't get here till 10:15. So with my morning bunch, we count the points that were left over from the day before. So I put a scoreboard up here for us guys, and basically what that would look like, say our scoreboard, can't even do tally marks right here guys, I'm so sorry. Say this is our scoreboard, we go through and we tally, we have our tally marks when we come in. And I'll write these real quick for you. Okay, so say these are our point totals. So the part that you saw where the boy comes up or the girl comes up to lead, I have a leader that stands up and does the counting. So we count our points right when we come in, and what we're doing is we're counting to see how many points we had on the previous day. Now when we're counting, we're doing finger counting, and you might not have been able to see what we were doing, but I point and I make sure the kids are watching me. They have to have laser focus, because what ends up happening, guys, they're not watching when I'm moving my finger across the tally marks, and they keep on counting. So that's how I know they're not with me. But they have been doing really well with that, because if they're not counting with me, then it's a mighty groan, okay? But when we're finger counting, I wasn't sure if you were able to see this, and so I teach kindergarten. It's really important that they understand those base 10 numbers. So when we count in this manner. We do, and I'm gonna have a hard time looking at you and looking here, so if my finger's off, just give me a you're still cool, but I want you to be able to see when we count, we would say 1, and I'm pointing here, and they're holding up the fingers, but it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as I'm going here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then when we go above 10, you might not have been able to see this, but they say 11, 12, 13, and why are we doing that? Because 13 is 10 plus 3. When we get into the 20s, we say 21, 22, and so forth and so on. We do the 20s this way, and then I'll say what is 20, or let's say what is 22. 22 is 2 10s and a 2. So the great thing about the counting on this, guys, is not only are we practicing counting, not only are we practicing finger counting, but we're also practicing base 10, which is really good. So we're counting, the boys count their smileys first, then they count their saddies, and then I'm asking which one has more, and they'll tell me which one has more. And then I'll say, how do you know? And they say, because more is the bigger number. Then I'll ask them which one has less, and they'll tell me, how do you know? Because less is the smaller number. And then I write the total at the bottom, okay? So if this is my morning early birds, we're counting 5, 10, 15, 20, 22, 5, 10, 15, 21, 5, 10, 15, 20, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so here's my totals. And so I have them on the board. Well, then all morning when I'm meeting, because the purpose of me having this staggered schedule is that I'm meeting with students in the morning in small groups, okay? So let me back up. I'm sorry. We count the points, we write the totals, and then we say, what are we always working on? Thinking, looking, and acting 2 or 4 grade levels higher. And then we review our rules. And that's all we do. That's not all we do for the day, but that's all we do for our little rundown of the scoreboard. Now, what I do, because I'm in small groups with my students, is I have a separate scoreboard. And so this scoreboard goes around with me, and I'm awarding points on this smaller scoreboard. And so if I was to add some points here, okay, for my students and how they did. Okay, so say here is my point total with my early birds. I've got my points here. So here's my beginning of the day. Again, let me tap. I can't even move my finger. Beginning of the day, like I said, we just count our points from the day before. We write the total. Oh, Coach B, I'm sorry. I know that happened earlier today. We were glad you got to check in for a minute. And then we review our rules. So that's me at the beginning of the day. Now, when the rest of the class comes is when I'm going to add to our point total. Then we do our power card practice. Then our huddle. Then our rules practice. And counting all these points, because now by this point I've got a lot of points and I don't want, we need to get moving and we got a lot of things to do. What we're doing is we're adding these points to our total. So now we're counting up. So I have 22, we count how many is here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to count up from 22. So we're going to count up 7, okay? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay, so for those of you out there who are thinking ahead of what I'm talking about, do you stop them during small group to say mighty? Oh, yeah. It just depends. A lot of times I have them save it because especially if I'm in my small group, I'm not going to stop teaching my small group if I don't have to, because that's really what's important. A lot of times I just award the points afterwards if I can. But if we're not using an appropriate voice tone or something like that, then I might say, class, yes, we need to use an appropriate voice tone, mighty grown. And they say, and then I say, go back to work or whatever it is. So it just depends. Most of the time I'm not going to, and those of you out there who are thinking, I don't want to interrupt my small group time. That's precious time. That's how I feel. I'm in my small group. I don't want to stop and award points. Stop and award points. Stop and give a SATI point. Really, the ping-ponging is going to be when I review how we did during our small group time. And we have a list of things we might be working for. Like during small group time, maybe our skills are that we are staying on task. So I might have at the bottom of the board for our small group time, we're going to work on staying on task and using a whisper voice, okay? So then I'm telling my students that we are working on, the skills we're working on is staying on task and whisper points. So then I'm going to award those points. And the best part about it is if I'm secretly awarding points over here on my board, I teach kindergarten. I might be writing over here. They don't know what the points are until I do the big point reveal. So that's another really good thing about having this scoreboard over by me is they don't really know what I'm doing over there. So going back to my scoreboard, again, I have the number and then we count up with this number. And why is that so good? Well, part of our standards now is that they have to be able to count up from any number. So now not only are we counting and then we're counting by base 10, now we're counting up by any number. So I say a number and we have to count up. I teach kindergarten. And we're talking about I have a staggered day class. So I have my early birds and I have my late birds. So when my late birds come, we add up our totals. We make our totals correct on the board. but we're not having to count each of the points right away, because all we're doing is taking what the number is at the bottom and counting up with what we got in small group. Then from there is when we do our huddle up. The kids huddle up. I bring the kids back, and then I remind them. I don't know if you guys saw this, and depending on, if we're running behind on time, I may save the power card practice part of it for either another time during the day or right before we're getting ready to do an activity, or I might do it when we get back from recess. But basically, if you guys saw what I was doing, you might not have known, but we have this power card, our X powers. Our X powers is thinking, looking, and acting 2 grade levels higher. And then the lightning power is thinking, looking, and acting 4 grade levels higher. And so I have them do a really quick, it's a right way, wrong way practice. And they show me, I say listening bodies. And I just show them the card. So then they're going to show me what a 2nd grade body looks like. And then if you saw me when I turned it, they sat up even taller, because now I want what a 4th grader looks like. When I put it away, they all flop to the floor, and they look like a floppy preschooler. But they have to be really careful. This is something that's changed, because before I was saying it out loud, I would say, show me X power, show me lightning power, show me preschool. And then I'd say, show me X power, show me lightning power. So I just recently changed it where I'm telling them they have to look at the card, because I'm using this card throughout the day to bump up my motivation and to bump up my participation. But I don't want to call it out. They see me walk over and flip over the card, and that's supposed to bump up their participation. And so I want them to keep their eyes on me so that they can see when I change the card. So you might have noticed this morning that when I switched from the X power, when I went from the X power to the lightning power, and then we went to preschool, I held back up the X power, but there was a few of them who didn't have their eyes on me, so they weren't able to sit back in their X power listening body. And then we've also been working on gestures. So we'll do our X power gestures, which is our 2 grade levels higher gestures. We do our lightning power gestures, and then we show preschool gestures, which is little itty bitty tiny gestures. So let's get here. Like I said, when the rest of the class comes, we add to our point total. We do our power card practice, our huddle, and our rules practice. So then here, you got disconnected. When do you erase the scoreboard? I'm going to show you right here. So before recess, we count our points. After recess is when I start over. So it's a day, and it's our lunch recess. And so right before we go to lunch recess, we take a look and we see who's winning. And right now, because we're at the level, we're kind of far on the levels. We're actually on level 8, but for those of you who've been following me on levels, we're off what the levels are that I'm teaching you about, which are the ones that we've listed for whole brain teaching, because some of you may know this already, and I know I've talked about this, and I can't wait to get there and tell you guys about it, but we've been trying out different levels in my class. And so in my class, I'm on level 8, but for what we know about what I've been teaching, I can't even get the words out. I'm so sorry, guys. I am so tired. So this is me after talking for, I don't know, 12 to 4:30 conferences nonstop. My mouth is not, it's like my brain is trying to say words, but my mouth is not coming out. What I'm trying, thank you. Give me a, you're so cool. My class is on level 8, but for what we do with whole brain teaching, it's a level 4. So all we are doing right now is boy lines up first, okay? Boys, the winner lines up first. So we have, thank you. So we have to count our points before we leave for recess, because it's going to tell us, you guys are awesome. I needed that. I needed to hear you're so cool, because I feel like right now I just want to close my mouth and not hear from me for a while. I don't know if you guys feel like that, but sometimes I feel like after sitting in parent conferences for a while, I don't want to hear myself talk anymore. Oh, love you too. Thank you. Like, I have heard enough of myself today. I just want to go in a quiet corner. So, and then I'm here talking at you guys and not making much sense. But what I'm telling you is that we count the points before we leave to go out for lunch, because immediately following that they have their lunch recess, and we have to see which team is going to get to line up first. So we erase our points at that time and we get to start all over again. And again, remember, when you reset your points, that's when you're going to see if your class got a class win. That's when you get to do the star. So if I was doing my levels here and I'm at a level 4 and I have 2 stars, if both my boys and my girls have more smileys than saddies, we get a star. The routine after we get the stars, we do a 10-second drum roll. They do a 10-second drum roll. I lift up my hands. They lift up their hands. I point at them and they get to say, oh yeah. We count our stars, 1, 2, 3. I tell them to hold up their fists, say the number, so they would say 3, and count up, 4, 5. So we do a lot of counting and a lot of skills. We do more, less, and equal. We do addition. We do counting up. We do starting from a number and then counting on to another number. So like I said, we do skip counting, because when we get ready to go out to recess, guys, we have a ton more points than this. We're not going to sit and do 1, 2, 3 like you saw in the huddle up this morning. That would take too long. So instead, we do fast counting. We do 5, and I have them repeat: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Count up from 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to show you guys a little breakdown of how I break it down. This is what I do. It's in no way what you have to do, but this way you can take some of the strategies that I used today and you can sprinkle them throughout your day. So at the beginning of the day when I come in, I've only got a part of the class, so I count my points, I write the total, and I review the rules. Then when the rest of the class comes, I add to my point total, I do power cards practice, we do our huddle up, and then we go over our rules. Before recess, I count the points, and after recess, I start over. After recess is, of course, that's that last half of the day where the kids are super squirrely. So that's when I'm looking for leaders, and I will call leaders up to lead us in the rules. The best part about being a leader, and let me give you a little look at these rules. Our rules are on tongue depressors like this, so it makes it really easy. And it's funny, I don't know why kids, they love having choices, I guess. So I'll ask them, do you want your rules in order, or do you want your rules mixed up? And so based on whatever they tell me, I give them the rules either mixed up or in order. And then they get to choose the voice that the class does the rules in, and they get to stand up and lead the class in the rules. So my little guy today, who got to lead after recess, picked the robot voice, and so he went through the rules, and it just sounds like a robot voice. So what's rule number 1? And the kids say, rule number 1 is follow directions quickly. So I find that by having picking a student leader after recess, and by letting them choose things like, do you want to do the rules in order? Do you want to do the rules out of order? What kind of voice would you like to use? I'm going to get more buy-in. I know. It's not a Tuesday. It's okay. You can come in. Bye. Oh, you're closing the door. Okay. Oh, thank you. We have our robot voices. We have our opera voices. We have baby bear, mama bear, spooky. We got all kinds of voices. But like I said, towards the end of the day, guys, I don't know if this is the same for you guys. Give me some hearts out there so I know I'm not alone. But towards the end of the day, my kids are just a little bit more squirrely. So looking for leaders in the class, and leaders are kids who are thinking, looking, and acting 2 grade levels higher. They love to be able to come up and lead the rules. They especially love to be able to pick whatever the voice is. And again, like I said, as weird as it is, it sounds so quirky, like who cares? Either the rules in order or the rules out of order. But there's something exciting about that. And the other thing that you guys may not have gotten, or you didn't get to see, because I didn't do this part with you guys, but I did want to mention this, is we also take time at this part of the day to talk about leaders. And I don't talk long in length because I've had the leadership box for so long, they already know what it is. but I remind them what I'm looking for with leaders. And you guys probably heard when we were talking about Rule 4. Hopefully you guys have been catching Coach B's Scopes on Sundays, which is on our character education. And so Rule 4, which is right here. Since the recess is at the end of the day, I recount points in the AM, huddle up, and fresh start each AM. There you go. And that's another way to do it. It's totally flexible. So we have our Rule 4, and after we say Rule 4, and they say make smart choices, we say what are smart choices, and they say kindness, leadership, courage, invincible grit, I can't even talk, I told you, invisible grit, and they end with creativity. And so after our recess and I'm looking for leaders, I remind the kids about the leadership lottery box. And I will just, here's something cool. And I just shared this with Coach last night. Sorry.